for us, so this will go
plug in 0.
Yeah. To find the y-intercept, that always happens when x is 0. So if you just plug in 0 for the x value on 17, what comes out for the y value? If you plug in 0 for the x value, you get 6 to come out for the y value. Or the g of x value, or whatever. Put that in there. To find, so this is the y-intercept. It crosses at 6, basically, on the y-axis. So when we go to make our graph, we're going to have to go up to 6. To find, how do we find the x-intercepts? You make the y value 0. If I make this 0, this is basically what we were doing yesterday. Remember that? All this needs to be equal to 0. Solve for x. We should get a couple answers probably. Okay. How can we solve this right here? Let me erase that. I like that. What's the easiest way to solve this right here? Factoring. 17. So, yeah, because what goes into 6, that adds up to 5. So what could x be in this case to make these factors 0?
Negative 3 or
Negative 3 or 2. So we kind of have two answers here. Negative 3 and negative 2. Graph.
So is it like one's on one side, the other's on the other side? Like the parabola?
Well, you know, parabolas look like this or something like that.
Yeah, like one.
So it's crossing the y-axis somewhere, it's crossing the x-axis a couple of spots.
Okay.
So we're just gonna graph those 3 points and then, make the thing.
Does this go on the graph or on the normal paper?
What's so funny?
Well, you have to graph it eventually. I don't really care if you start
We need to get it together.
graph or not.
Kale,
Kale?
you got something you want to share with class?
No.
Okay, 0, 6, about right there. Negative 3, 0. And negative 2, 0. What would this graph look like?
Steep.
Looks like an L hat.
Do you guys know where the vertex would have to be?
What?
Right about here. Do you guys know how I do that? Whoops. Because it's got to be between these. It's going up, yeah, and it's got to. I know it's going up because there's a point up here, and these would be like the matching points. So the vertex must be below that, and it's not steep enough to go down here. So anyway, so it just looks something like that. I guess I could have drawn the mirror point. I could have missed. That's not it.
That ain't it.
1, 2 and a half. 1, 2 and a half. Should have been right there. There.
It's a lot about it. It's a lot about it.
What happened to you guys saying we need to be serious? Shut up.
Yeah, we do need to be serious. I'm sorry. I'll get it together.
Kale.
Okay. Number 14.
I think you'll do that.
Or no.
I'm just being retarded.
19. All right. How did we find the y-intercept again?
Plug in 0 for it.
Plug in a 0 for the x. So this term would become a 0 because 0 times all that stuff. This would become a 0. It's 4 times, so it's positive 3. And then how do we find the x-intercepts? Do you remember what we called the x-intercepts yesterday?
Zeros.
The zeros of the function. So what x values would make the function equal to 0? Does that factor? If you multiply everything by negative 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 1. That'd be 6 and 2. Yeah, that would work. Okay, what's going to go on the front here? What goes into 4x squared?
2x and 2x.
2x, 2x. What goes into negative 3?
3, -1.
3, -1. So if I put a positive 3 on one of these, well, I'll put it over here, I guess. This would make 6. And then, oops, if I put a -1 there, screw that up. That would be -2. 6 minus 2 is 4, so that's right. Okay. What x values would make these factors 0? Positive 1/2, negative 3/2.
So why'd you pick the halves, because it's times 2?
Yeah, the 2 in front. So normally it's just like a positive 1, right? But if there's a number over here, you put it over that. So positive 1 over 2.
So it doesn't matter what numbers it is, it'll always be the number in front of the x, is always gonna be on the bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You guys know where negative 3/2 would be on the graph? 1.5, yeah. Okay, 0, 3 was the y-intercept. Negative 1.5 is one of them, and then positive 1/2 is the other.
That's way.
Yeah, you can tell it's going down.
Because of the way it is.
The vertex, because there's a point up here, and it's going to have to go through. The vertex is going to be right in between these two, right? Because they're on the same level. So vertex probably about right here. There is a way to find it, but we're not going to talk about that yet. Kind of screwed that up. Anyway.
What do we have a graphing calculators?
For 23 through 30. You're going to have to share. If you want to work together in that part, that's fine, but you need to like swap calculator use with, if you're sharing. Like somebody does ones, the other person does the next. That kind of thing. Make sure you both plug it in. Okay. One more, 21. This one's kind of weird, unfortunately.
Oh, David.
Okay, negative 1/2. Actually, on 21, the other problems were written in standard form. 21 is written in vertex form. So it would be easy to find the vertex for that one.
Up 4.
No,
up
negative 4, 3.
Left 4.
Yeah, negative 4, 3 will be the vertex. We didn't really need that, but
Oh, sorry.
how do I find the y-intercept?
0.
Plug in 0. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Half of 16 is 8, so it would be negative 8 plus 3. Notice I was using order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiply, addition. Okay, that's the y-intercept, 0, -5. You guys remember what this thing is going to make happen to the graph?
It's gonna make it go
It's going to go down
half as
half speed, so slowly, yeah. Okay, I think we did one of these yesterday, like just one. You guys remember how I solved this for 0 yesterday? I got the parentheses by itself, the squared thing by itself, and then I square rooted both sides. So I'm going to -3. And divide by negative 1/2. You guys know what dividing by negative a half is the same thing as doing?
Times. No. I'm retarded.
7th grade math quiz. Dividing by negative a half is like
You flip 'em
multiplying
and then you multiply.
by negative 2. So, negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. I'm just going to erase that because it's in my way. So, x plus 4 squared equals 6. Now that I have the square thing isolated, I can use the square root trick. Remember when you use the square root trick though, that thing that you squared over here is positive or negative.
So why do we divide it with half?
Because negative 1/2 was multiplied to the left side, and I was trying to get rid of it, so I divided by negative 1/2. Alright, and my last step is to minus the 4 over. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus square root of 6. Ah, boy. What a mess. What a world. So, whoopsie, I switched those around. No. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay. That's an x-intercept. So how do we graph that? We're going to plug it in our calculator and change it to a decimal. Maybe we should have done that first, but this is the other x-intercept. I forgot the y-intercept, I erased it. 0, negative 5. Y-intercept and negative 4, 3 was the vertex. That'll help us graph it. Okay. Somebody plug in negative 4 plus square root of 6, and somebody else plug in negative 4 minus square root of 6, so we can figure out where that is on the graph.
The negative 4 minus square root of 6, that's negative 6.4.
Okay, he said negative 6.4. On my graph, that's about right there. Anybody plug in negative 4 plus square root of 6?
I'm still looking for the sheet.
Right.
Negative 1.55.
Okay, a little past negative 1.5. Right there. And the vertex, I forgot again, was negative 4, 3. So that's right there. And the y-intercept was 0, negative 5, which is right there. That's a pretty good outline. You can kind of see what's going on there. $22 is kind of messy like 21 was, so yeah. Okay, 23, calculator time. Alright, this is going to be difficult because if I had a giant calculator on the smart board, this would be a lot easier. but I don't. You guys have 2 calculators, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You two are gonna, Brock and Brianna, you guys gonna share. You two are gonna share. You got your own. Wait, this table has 3?
Thanks.
So, you two might have to share. You have your own graphing calculator?
Yeah.
Or
That's pretty good.
is it big and fat like these? No,
I
no.
prefer chicken juice.
Good thing never did
What? What?
All right. Has everybody got your calculator on?
Yeah.
So you go up to the upper left-hand corner and hit y equals.
Oh, I'm retarded. Okay. Never mind.
If there is anything written in there already, you need to hit clear to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Actually, let me hold this one.
Okay.
Where's the graphing?
So it should look like this right now so far, hopefully. What we're going to put in is number 23. X squared minus 8x plus 3. The X button is right there, right, like,
Next to alpha.
it says xt theta n on it. So we're going to put in x squared, so put x. On this calculator, there is a square button over here, but there's also a power button here. Let's just hit the square button right there on the left side. X squared minus 8x plus 3. After you do that, in the upper right hand corner, there's a graph button. Let's go ahead and hit the graph button. Should look something like that.
Like this?
I'm gonna have to hold it for a while. No. Okay, if you're not seeing a parabola, go to zoom in the top middle and then hit option 6 for zoom standard. That will get you a normal graph picture. Zoom 6 will set your graph so it's like in the middle. Is everybody kind of to this screen yet?
Yeah, we're supposed to be able to see the vertex though.
You could move it to see it, but no. And on Zoom Standard, you cannot see the vertex. You can move the picture around.
Put it on the table. I have one.
If you,
Nice. Don't worry about it.
Where's the vertex? No, you can't.
Stop.
You need to be seamless, mister.
Sorry, wait, I don't.
Hey,
I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate like hell.
Is this a joke?
yeah, you can go down. It's just,
Because it's not a joke.
you can't scroll like on your
What?
phone, but.
What about?
If you want to, there's a few ways if you want to make the picture like better to see, like if you want to look at the vertex, you can go to zoom and zoom out. Zoom is the top middle one. Here, I'll do this.
If you click zoom out, it
No,
doesn't
no,
do
it's
anything.
next, never mind.
Yeah, it is. You
Zoom.
stole it from me.
And then just hit, okay, after you hit option 3, it goes back to the screen. The reason that it does that is because it's asking you like where do you want to zoom out from, like where's the center. So there's a little cursor like in the middle of your graph. Just hit enter and it'll zoom out from the middle of your graph.
Things are whack.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, it worked.
Okay. No, not yet. Now, After we did that, sorry. After we did that, you need to go zoom back in again. I need to. No, I can't.
You're not getting back.
What was that?
No.
You gotta be quicker.
Okay. What we want to find is where does it, we're trying to find the zeros of the function, where does it cross the x-axis? So we're going to go to second trace. It's called calculate, the CALC, the yellow thing. So you have to hit second, the yellow button, and then trace. We're looking for the zeros of the function, so that's option 2, where it says 0. So you can just hit 2.
So second, trace 2.
Yes.
Where's trace?
It's at the top. It's you have to hit second trace though, because we're actually want to calculate the
Yeah.
end.
I was looking for trace as the second option.
And then if you look at your screen, it should say left bound question mark. That means we need to move, there's a little cursor on our parabola. We need it to move it to the left of that left point. So it should look like this. You need to move the cursor to the left of it, so maybe about right here. The left of this, we're trying to find this point right here. So move the cursor to the left of that and then hit enter. And then at the bottom it says right bound question mark. So you need to scroll over, like use the arrow buttons and move the cursor to the right of that and hit enter again.
Okay.
And then if you did that, it should say guess question mark, like it wants you to guess. So you just move your cursor as close as you can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't really, it's not that picky, but just move your cursor kind of close to the point we're trying to get and hit enter one more time.
Wait, but why do the other 2 points?
You're just trying to help the calculator figure out where we're looking. Because there's more than one answer, but
What?
like if you put the bounds on it, it's calculator finds it in here.
Oh.
Anyway, you should get, at the bottom it should say 0, x equals 0.39444, blah, blah, blah. Any luck?
I don't understand how to get it to do the tracing. Like, I understand how to do like the first trace, but I don't get how to get it to guess. Like where it says guess question mark.
You have to hit enter after you put in the left bound and right bound.
What happens after?
Okay, 0.39 is the answer. This should be our first answer. So that's one of our answers. And then you gotta go do the same thing and find the other answer over here. We're rounding to the hundredths place, by the way, second decimal place.
So 0.39, that's the x.
0.39 is the left answer, and we're supposed to go find this answer over here.
Okay.
How do you do that?
If you want to get out, you hit second trace. You probably want to zoom in so you can see it
You do
better.
the first
So I'm
question,
gonna
I
put
do the
zoom
second.
in.
No, one second.
Enter.
It takes a second.
Okay, and then hit second trace. I said yellow, but yours is blue. And we want the 0 of the function, option 2.
Okay. So
And
the
it says
first
left
one is
bound.
0.39,
So
like he has
move
up
the
there.
cursor to the left.
And then
which
the other
already
one is 7 point,
So I'm gonna enter.
around at 7.7.
And it says right bound. Move the cursor to the right.
Yeah.
Hit enter. And it says guess. And then try to get the cursor close to there. And hit enter. And I get 0.39. That's what's that. And we gotta do the second answer over here.
So you enter this second trace.
Yeah.
Two.
Just repeat the process.
So-
Second trace.
Are you
The
clear?
cursor might have to move.
We're going to 23, right?
No, we're done at
That's
30.
gonna go off
Yeah, we're done for
probably
23 seconds.
for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Then I have to do
There's a way to reset that calculator. But
So how do I put in the equation?
Okay, there. So you do y equals, and then you plug in here. Clear. Well, we'll do 25, and then so I'm trying to do 50 things at once. Okay, so you plug the equation in there. You press this for x. Do that squared. Oh wait, no. Oh, I'm an idiot. Never mind. Sorry, that's the wrong problem. Okay. So 4x.
so
Yeah. Wait. This one's weird though because it doesn't equal 0, so I'm not sure. No. Oh, you have to. Yeah, I know. You have to subtract the 5x squared over to the left.
So it would be negative 5x plus 4x plus 6.
This says guess, so it's crucial close to the point.
Where's delete?
Point or across the x-axis.
Is there a delete or do I just have to scroll or get rid of it?
I think you might just have to.
So,
Did you figure it out?
I got to here, and I got to 0.39, but then are we just trying to figure out the other side of the
Yeah,
point?
just do the same process.
Okay, so I did it, and I got like
where's negative?
around right there.
7 I think is too big. It's supposed to be.
What's that, 7.6?
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna-
7.61.
Hey,
Yeah.
where's negative?
That's what you should do.
7.7. I mean, I just rounded, but I guess I rounded
Is that
wrong.
all we're
Yeah.
doing?
Mr. Jordan.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's try. Let's just go to 24. That's fine. We'll do that. We'll compromise. It's taking long. Justice and law. Never mind. Can you?
But where?
Don't make a maker, you know, yesterday, it was terribly wrong.
Jordan.
Justice, just take all your frustration out on Jordan.
You know where negative is on this thing? Sorry,
It's
Uh,
okay,
just-
she doesn't have to still do this.
That's fine.
Is that all we're supposed to do like that?
I can flash you.
Is that all we're supposed to do like that?
negative on this.
Yeah.
No,
It's a way of finding the answer without actually doing algebra.
Just the x.
You guys figure it out. Rob?
Actually, never mind.
So you have second trace.
But you have to find a negative.
I'm gonna find zeros in the function, so I'm just gonna hit
See
2.
on the big red button, or it's not red, but you know.
Big red button? Sorry, I missed the big red button, Jordan.
So
Actually, but you know, they
we need to first is to the left.
Oh no.
Point we're trying to find. One we're trying to find is the x-intercept. So
how do I
cursor
put an
right
X?
now is to the left.
How do I put an X?
And then it says right down.
That,
And then scroll
the one that
to
has
right.
x,
Right,
t,
seven.
theta, and
How do I get a number negative?
And it says guess. So you just want to get the cursor close.
X squared
They're close enough.
plus 3x plus 7.
Then you gotta do the same thing.
Okay. Then after that, graph.
graph.
And then whatever I do, it just says graph, it just says like error.
Okay.
So,
Then I do
I'll write it down.
trace.
I didn't get that part. So.
Second trace,
That's a negative one here.
the 0,
There's negative
Trace.
right there. Right.
option 2,
Return. Oh no.
enter the left bound,
Boom. I'm the best graphic.
Enter the right bound,
I do it. Okay.
and
I don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the yellow button and then the trace button. The green button.
enter the guess. Like get your cursor close.
Blue button. Sweet.
Okay, Poppy.
No, second.
Alright. So, what's all that for?
That's the process. Hit second trace.
We're just finding
Oh,
the zero.
second.
Select option 2.
Press this again.
Yes, we're just finding the 0.
Oh!
The answer to the problem, if you did the right one right, you should have got a 7.61. So it's 0.39 and 7.61 are the two answers for that.
Are we gonna test on this?
Left.
Like this one?
Left.
Possibly.
Okay.
Actually, guys, like this is a trick you could use on the ACT. Like, if you can't remember math, but you can remember the buttons to push, this can give you some answers.
When is our test?
Oh, I don't know. It could be next Friday, hopefully. Before.
You just don't know it.
I won't be here next
Yeah, you'll be
Friday.
gone.
Yeah, me too. I have a plan sickness.
I haven't actually planned it out though.
What did you just say?
I have a plan sickness that day.
Wait, so what do you mean by left hand? Like, I guess.
Yeah, looks like we're not gonna make it by next
You can
Friday,
look on the left there.
unfortunately.
So, what do you do for left bound?
You move your cursor to the left of, like scroll it to the left of the point you're trying to find.
For my work, if you don't have it by tomorrow,